Case Strategy Simplified. It's Japheth here, your producer, and I really quickly wanted to pop in to tell you about Black Belt. So if you're targeting a consulting role at a firm like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, Accenture, you name it, Black Belt is a structured case prep program that might be exactly what you need to push you over the hump and land that offer. So it is a structured case coaching program where you'll get one-on-one coaching from a former McKinsey, Bain, or BCG consultant. You'll also get a year of free access to our new community for exclusive employer info sessions, training, master classes, community support, and much more. Last but not least, you get unlimited digital materials to support your case prep progress. Oh, and by the way, over 80% of Black Belts who complete the program land a consulting role. That's pretty incredible. So we'd love to see you inside of Black Belt. Join at the link in the show notes. Welcome to Season 14, Episode 17 of Strategy Simplified. Now, I know that many of you consulting candidates have just recently applied to Bain & Company's Associate Consultant and Associate Consultant intern roles, and still lots more of you have plans to apply to BCG and McKinsey and other top consulting firms this summer and beyond in hopes of getting an interview. And of course, when you get that interview, you'll need to be prepared for the case interview. And that's what today's episode is all about. In it, Jenny Ray shares a comprehensive 4-week case prep plan. And you can even flex this plan to your timeline. So if you need to get ready in 2 weeks, you can do that. If you have 8 weeks till interviews, you can flex it to that. And to get the digital resource, the 4-week case prep plan resource mentioned in the episode, head to the link in the show notes to download your own copy. It's 100% free. Lastly, join our Black Belt Case Prep program for personalized MBB help in your case prep process, in your resume edits, in your networking strategy, and beyond. We've got limited spots available this summer, so dive in now. The link in the show notes will take you to the right spot. All right, without further ado, let's get into this 4-week case prep plan episode.
Well, we're so excited to be with you. We realized in some of our discussions this year that we were giving all of this great stuff to our student partners and to our Black Belts, but the broader community could probably benefit from understanding that one of the keys to casing is having a plan, and then tailoring that plan to what you need. So I'm going to talk about both of those today. I'm going to talk about our 4-week prep plan. This is a prep plan that can be condensed if you only have 2 weeks, but I'm going to recommend that you spend at least 4, and you're going to see why as I walk through the detail of the plan. It can also be extended. So if some of you, like I saw 48%, I think, right, Japheth, said that they're going to be interviewing fall or later. Now is actually still the time to start. We would just recommend that you do these with some breaks in between your days. And that's going to help build the best baseline. It's kind of learning casing is like learning a language. If you try to learn it in a week, you're not going to be able to, you'll learn a couple words. You can probably order something and give a few numbers, but you're not going to be able to actually solve problems and have conversations and have a meaningful interaction with the folks that you're working with. So the longer you give yourself, the better you're going to be at it overall. First of all, the first place that I want to start is people are hiring. This is one of the first questions that we're getting from people. Is anyone hiring? Yes. The answer is yes. So I checked today our management consulted job board, which is available to members of our community, and partner schools. We're going to have you in there in under 30 days. I'm so excited, but we have a job board that is curated specifically for management consulting and for strategy roles where you use similar skills. So are people hiring? The answer is yes. There are over 2,000 jobs that are active right now with firms that we've said we would be happy to go to. Usually that means they're paying over $100,000 a year at a baseline and more at the MBA level or beyond. They're firms that we think provide great training, do work with meaningful clients, et cetera. So we've touched each one of these to kind of get a filter. So you're not going to find roles that are really low level or admin roles inside there. So the first thing I just want to say is preface all of this with you're never going to have as much time as you think you will. You're going to get opportunities you won't think that you will. And therefore, following a plan like this is really going to help to ensure your success. As I'm going through the session today, I'm going to walk through our agenda. Japheth is going to be handling questions in the chat. So if you have them, pop them in. We want to hear your questions. We want to know what you are. If you're from a school, give us context with the question. If you're individual, just let us know what you're thinking through. But what I'll do today in the session is do an overview of the 4 steps of case prep. We've really isolated this, so each week is one of the steps. And some of you know, we have a pretty popular statistic that we put all over the place. We get over 80% of the people that do our Black Belt program, which is 8 touches with us, so 8 interactions with a coach, into top 10 consulting firms, which includes MBB and Big Four, et cetera. How do we do that? I mean, the numbers are extraordinary, and under 3% of people would get in on their own. And I just want to tell you, today we're pulling back the kimono and we're telling you, this is how we do it, right? We're sharing the information with you. You're going to find that there's a lot more granular detail potentially than what you thought, but I'll share those 4 steps. Then I'm going to walk through each one of the 4 steps. So if you have questions about specific things, I'll give you a little bit of a deep dive on each one about a particular type of thing that we cover inside there, one of our areas of methodology. So you're going to get more than just like, here's what you do. You're going to get a here's why we think you should do it for each one of those sections. So the first one is market sizing and structure. The second one is math and brainstorming, the 2 key hangups for people that are really battling to know what to do inside the case. The third is what we call comprehension. It's really advancing your understanding of business, and we do it in a week. And then finally, your 4th is firm specific and fit. And one of the things I want to note up front as we're talking through the overview of the 4 steps of case prep, our case prep process is firm agnostic for steps 1 through 3. So the first 21 days or 21 steps of this process, you do not need to know that you're interviewing or which firm you're interviewing with. And I'll walk you through some more details in a second. At the end, I'll highlight some of the helpful resources that we have available to you. So first of all, overview of the 4-week prep plan. Number 1, week 1 is really focusing on building core skills, building an understanding of what the case interview is, and doing something. One of the main problems that we see that people do early in their case prep process is they overthink and they overread. Right. And so one of our sayings that we love to say, this is not political, this is just a general saying, is burn the books. When it comes to case interviews, we need you to be talking out loud. We need you to be understanding what is happening. And then we need you to go and find resources. So as I walk through the detail of week 1, just understand our purpose is to get you talking and working out loud on cases as early as possible in the process. The best way to do that is to walk through 10 market sizing cases in our detailed version of the case prep plan, which we'll ask you later if you want to get it. It's free, but we were like, we don't know if everybody wants this. We give it to our partner schools. So we'll be curious. We'll do a poll in a little bit about that. But we'll walk you through, like, these are the 10 market sizing cases we think you should do. Same with profitability. So there are 4 key profitability cases that tie to 4 different applications of the profitability framework. We think that you need to go through those, and actually not just in any order, in the specific order that we say, because if somebody jumps into the deep end of casing because they feel like my case is really soon, it hinders your overall experience because you don't understand the basics of how to do it. So we're big on, even if you want to do 8 hours of work a day, you still got to do the steps in order. The first week also includes case structure drills, a diagnostic case, and 1 structure session. We're going to recommend in here, because this is what we do, that you do those with somebody who knows what they're doing. But a lot of you are going to find a random partner, and we love that you do that. And I found random partners, and I had people that didn't even know anything about consulting, and it was still better than reading about consulting. So we'll talk through that as well. In week 2, we really move on to focus on the details of math. At this point, you should be scared. You should not feel like you know what is happening inside the case. And if you do, we did not do our job in week 1. But case math is building you up with confidence in exactly what you need to know. So it's focusing on case math, not just the basics of mental math, but also the structures that you need to know, the formulas of math. In addition, the brainstorming piece or the creative piece, and application of math, which is exhibit drills. This is really your core of your basic business education when it comes to applied math. We also would recommend that in that week, you do 1 math and 1 brainstorming session. I think this is part of the secret sauce of what we do at Management Consulted. We wait until you are halfway or more through your prep process to do a whole case. We don't think it matters. We think that being bad at structure isn't solved by doing a whole case. We think it's solved by doing 10 structures. And so we have built our entire case methodology on drill-based learning. And this is one of the keys of week 2. In week 3, we're going to focus on case comprehension. So there we'll focus on 5 out loud level 1 cases with the partner, and then advancing you at that point only. This is 2.5 weeks in. We're saying, finally, you are ready to go to what we consider round 2 or level 2 cases. These have more than one math question, more applied exhibits and drills, more complicated and vague questions at the beginning. They are the types that you would expect to see in a round 2 interview. One of our core beliefs is that you should be ready for round 2 before you step into round 1. That helps you make sure that you're ready to go. And then also in that week, it's a kind of a review, but also a deeper application of the mastery of core frameworks. At this point, you haven't done anything creative. You're literally just following a playbook. Week 4 is where it all changes. This is where you get to go rogue, but you're ready at that point to do exactly what you need to do. So we do firm-specific prep, fit interview, and 3 mock cases. So exposure to the different case types and firm styles, the fit and the detail is going to help you here. So the week 1 overview is really kicking off with market sizing and structure. And here I'm going to give you a detailed plan for absolutely every single day. What we do in our downloadable case prep plan, which is available inside the All Access Pass, but we're open to sending it out for free if y'all would find it valuable, is we actually tell you which course, which case we specifically think you should do. So I'm going to walk you through just the 7 days of this week and why we care about each one of those. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the basics that you learn on a few other slides in week 1 so that you understand what it is that we're covering. So day 1, we have you start off with a market sizing course. So we have you watch a market sizing course and then do 3 market sizing cases. And we picked different options in a few different places. Day 2 is just practice, 3 market sizing cases. You get better at them with repetition over time. And then day 3 is 4 market sizing cases. And after this point is where we would recommend that you do your first diagnostic session. So if you're working with a coach, either at your university, or if you have a second year peer, or if you're working with a management consulted coach, that's the first place that we'd recommend that you come to them. You can book a session with somebody before you do anything. They're just not going to be able to help you as much. So I think breaking the ice on your own and doing those first sections of cases for 3 days, or again, if you have a longer prep timeline, 3 different steps is ideal. One of the things that I do want to mention right here is that we do not recommend that you pace out what happens in a single day. Let me explain for that. We do not recommend that you spend 10 days to do 10 market sizing cases. We recommend that you spend 3 days. I don't care whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What I care about is that it's Monday and then the following Tuesday, and then maybe the next Saturday. I care that you do this, all of the stuff on one single day, because we found big benefits in incremental learning when you start. So if you do a market sizing case and then a second one and a third one and a fourth one, you're better at market sizing. If you do 1 a day, you don't actually get better. So that's one of the keys to the way that you would use this prep plan if you are not using it in exactly 4 weeks. Then in day 4, we intro you to the case at large. So we go to the broader, here's what a case interview is. In day 5, we ask you to walk through the profitability modules of our case course and do 10 structure drills. At the end of every workshop that we do, we're doing over 150 of them this year with our student partners in our schools. At the end of every workshop, we quiz people and we say, what's the part of the case that you're the most scared of? And there is not one time in the last 12 months that somebody has said something other than structure. So structure and the business application of what you do is really important at the beginning. In addition, we ask you to complete 2 profitability cases. The first one is a profitability decline case. The second one is a profitability revenue decline case. The third on day 7 is a profitability cost decline case. And the fourth is a profitability scenarios case. Again, in that order is really important if you want to see the results and the success that we have seen. In addition, this is the second opportunity for you to book a partner session with somebody else. So again, just to refresh, at a baseline, we're talking about doing these cases out loud yourself. At the optimal level, you're doing them with a partner. At the super optimal level, you're doing them with an expert. I want to just highlight a few things that you might want to know about market sizing and why we recommend starting with it. It can be a part of round one interviews. It can also be used as standalone in what we call round zero interviews. So if you're at a non-core school, if you're interviewing through DEI hiring channels or conferences, if you're an undergrad, if you're using your networking skills to get into a firm, sometimes these questions come up as early filter questions. So market sizing can be an early part of your process. So getting ready for it first is really helpful. It also embodies every single skill that you need for the rest of the case in a very simple format, simple for you to create, simple to evaluate, and simple to practice. Structure, how you break down a problem into smaller pieces, assumptions that you would need to use, the calculations that you would need to use, and the insights that you would drive. All of those are necessary. Again, you're going to be able to do all four of those steps if you literally just sit in a room and do them on your own. You're not going to be able to tell whether against a baseline they're good unless you have a coach or even an expert coach evaluating you. Then the final piece is start with at least 10 market sizing cases. So out loud cases. You have to be able to basically do them in your sleep, and you'll start to notice that you're successful at market sizing cases when they pop up in the world around you. Like you'll walk into a restaurant and you'll wonder how many chicken wings are sold in America. That's the moment that you know that you're ready for market sizing cases. So just out of curiosity, one idea for a case would be to size the market for stroop waffles in Amsterdam. Japheth put this up there. Japheth was recently in Amsterdam. Japheth, where did the genesis of this question come from?
Man, the Netherlands has some great stroop waffles. So could not put this on there. They're so good.
So, how would you break this down? If your mind immediately starts to think about it, then that's a great sign. What we would do, inside these questions is we would ask you to do them. And then we would also give you a framework for every single thing that we ask you to do in our 4-week case prep plan. We give you instruction on how to do it. And so, for example, in the need to know information, what would you need to know? Well, you need to know the population of Amsterdam. How do you get there? You don't memorize the population of every major city in the world. You would need to know the population of 2 countries per continent. So if you know what the Netherlands is, it'd be a lot easier to size Amsterdam. If you don't know what the Netherlands is, but you know maybe Belgium or Croatia or Italy, then it would be easier to relatively size it. You also need to know that the US population is 320 million. And again, this is day one. Like we're like, hey, watch these videos on market sizing cases. This is what you need to know. Also, here's how to do them. Now go do them. So immediately, we're not like, hey, watch courses for a week. None of that nonsense. This is like, get in, get your hands dirty, get it done. Step 2 is the population of the city that you're living in. So if you know that New York is X, then you might have a better guess for what Amsterdam is. In addition, the population of any city that you're interviewing for, that will build up your bank of city populations. Japheth, any great questions in the chat?
We do, yeah. So we got a couple of questions. So around the kind of virtual environment. So how does this work with the virtual environment? Does the 4-week prep plan kind of work with that kind of new format, or does it need to be adjusted?
Y'all, we were ahead of the virtual environment, let me say. So I joined Management Consulted in 2010, and I took over as CEO in 2012. And even then, we were training people using Skype back in the day, before Zoom was a thing. So yes, it works in the virtual format. We successfully trained people for in-person interviews using the virtual format. Now the virtual format is standard in round one for most firms, both from a scheduling perspective and also from a skills perspective. They need to see what their clients will see, and they will see you on Zoom. And so they're testing you in the environment now that you're in, not just for the skills that you would demonstrate otherwise. So yes, it all ports over. You could never meet your coach or a case partner live and in person, but you could still work with people as a part of the experience. So yes, you could, and again, you can source them on your own, or you can certainly use the community and the tools that we have built for you as well.
Amazing. All right. And then there's a lot of interest in this 4-week prep plan. So I think we're going to have
digital version. All right. We're going to have to share
the digital version.
I
think we're going to have to send it out because people are clamoring. So we'll
So,
definitely.
let me give you a sneak peek. This isn't in the digital prep plan, but these are the types of things that the digital prep plan points you toward. Because again, we're not going to ask you to go size market sizing questions. We have a methodology that we think works across every one of these types of cases. And that step-by-step process preps you to be ready later on. So core steps to solve any sizing question, there are 5 core steps. So if you thought about the stroopwafels in Amsterdam, right? First of all, you have to decide whether it's people, whether it's households, or whether it's businesses that would buy stroopwafels, for example, coffee shops or hotels. That's your first job. Who's the primary buyer? Then you would need to break those into 3 to 4 segments. By the way, everything that we teach to is to the MBB level. I don't think there's any reason not to prep for that because you usually have your pick of options if you're ready to that level. So we don't recommend that you scale down your expectations based on firms that you think you're going to hire for. We recommend that you prep for McKinsey and then you're ready for anything. Step number 3 is the percentage who own or the percentage who buy stroopwafels. The next one is frequency of purchase. Japheth, what was your frequency of purchase in Amsterdam? Be honest right now. Greater than 1 per day, less than 1 per day? Like what?
Let's say 1 per day.
Right. So, in your segments, you might have like stroopwafel lovers, or you might have, people that like, have a coffee and are habit formers every day. Right. And those would have maybe 1 a day. And then you would have others that have it once a week, and then others maybe once a month. So your frequency of purchase is going to be a big driver of how you segment your populations. And then finally, the average price. Sometimes it will be the same, sometimes it will be different across those sectors. So anyhow, these are the types of things that inside the coursework that we give you, we ask you to do, or we prep you for, and then we send you on to the cases. We will give you the case prep plan for free, but if you're not a student member, or if you're not in Black Belt, or you're not in our All Access Pass, you're going to have to DIY a kind of close version of what we get, and it's not going to be anywhere near the same, just as an FYI. So if you're excited about the free version, it doesn't mean you get all of our free digital resources, but it will give you a great roadmap to use the ones that are available. Awesome. Let's move on to week 2. So the week 2 overview is really on math and brainstorming, highlighting the 7 different days here. We focus in the first 4 days on breaking down the mental math course into 4 parts. And this is really testing you on the things that you need. The first one is addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And after that, we ask you to do 50 multiplication math drills. P.S. If you do 50 and you don't do well, you should do more. So all of these are kind of like the test level where we would give you a gateway and we would say, if you need more, do more. Day 2 is division. So the focus on that one is always on division. Division is one of the biggest hangups for people in mental math. Mental math number 3 is percentages. This is the other significantly large hangup. And then session 4 is additional math, things like squaring and kind of unique math pieces. So the mental math course focuses on that. After that point, we'd recommend that you do a math drill session. So again, if it's with an expert, amazing. If not, you should get together with somebody and do math portions of cases. We usually recommend that you use a resource like our case library to do that, because you can just open up a case, read out math, give somebody a math question, have them walk through it, and then move to another one. What you're doing there is that you're building the functional skill as well as the confidence to be able to succeed in math. Because if you go through a whole case and your math is crappy and you wait 5 more days to do the next case, you start from a deflated position on math instead of a position of success. Then in the final 3 days that week, you have a 40 grab bag math drills, which are mixing and matching the math drill. So you don't know what's going to come up. That's more like what you will get inside the case. And 5 math video drills. On our platform, we also have access to the math videos that I think are particularly helpful, that work you through the key areas. So we basically have somebody present a math prompt. We have, if applicable, data or exhibits that pops up on the screen. We have a timer, and then we have the answer at the end. So again, getting you talking out loud for us is one of the most important success factors here. Day 5 is 10 exhibit drills. Exhibit drills are using the different pieces of the case to really work through each one of those different exhibits. Day 6 is math video drills and exhibit drills, and then going on to the case course for the creative brainstorming, and then finally wrapping up the week with brainstorming drills and brainstorming sessions with a coach. just so that you know, when we're thinking about structure at Management Consulted, we really think through it in 4 key categories. We really push you when you're thinking through structure to develop 4 key categories. So our profitability, our market study, and our M&A teaching is all based on a 4-category structure. Ideally, you would have 3 sub-bullets for each one of those structures as well. In addition, you'll see other things that we teach about in our videos as you're practicing structure that help you become great at structure in a really short amount of time. Because let's be honest, we're not just about getting you the interview, we're about doing it in the least amount of time possible. At least that's what I learned at Bain. If you can get to the same result and make somebody $1 billion in a week instead of a month, you should do it in a week. So that speed will help you as you're working through this process, prepare for life on the job. In addition, when we're training you in case math, we don't just train you in the mental math portions, but actually in the structure of how to do the math. So that's what we teach through in the course part. And we walk through a 4-step structure. When our coaches are evaluating people and they would be considered to be, quote, not good at math, usually people are bad at 1 or more of the 4 steps of math: the recap, the structure, the solve, and the insight. So if we can figure out for you in those math sessions what the pain points are and solve for that, we're not just saying you're bad at math, you have to practice math. We're saying you have to practice how you set up step 2 of each math problem. Okay, great. Oh, you didn't do it there. Do it again. Okay, great. You know, you did it well. Let's set it up. Oh, there you're in the flow, and we kind of are able to coach you through until you become successful in the actual pain point.
Hey, it's Ian with Management Consulted, your favorite go-to gal for anything and everything MC. I'm so excited to share with you today something really special. I don't know if you know this, but I provide 15-minute meetings for candidates who are looking for recruitment support. I can help you strategize and plan out how you're going to navigate through your recruitment season and exactly how MC can help you. In that meeting, we can review your resume and I can provide you some industry insights tailored to your specific background. And maybe, just maybe, I can sprinkle just a little bit of hope in there as well. I'd be excited to connect with you when you're ready to explore personalized coaching support, so feel free to book a meeting with me through the link in the show notes today.
So let me move on now to week 3. So again, week 1, just as a refresher, was talking about market sizing and profitability. It was introducing cases, but literally every single day you're doing something. There's no day where you're just sitting back with a book and a cup of coffee. Week 2 was about really diving into the math and the creative brainstorming. That might seem counterintuitive that we actually pull you away from cases. You do 0 full cases in week 2 of our prep process. In week 3, at this point, you've done 4 sessions at least out loud with somebody else, a partner, a coach, an expert, right? You've done at least those ones. And the first one was market sizing. The second one is a case diagnostic. The third is the first one is a case diagnostic, which usually includes both market sizing and a full case. The second one is structure. The third is math. The fourth is brainstorming. So it kind of gives you all of the key skills that you need. So before we release you to just do mock cases, you're more than 2 weeks into it. Here is where we start to bring you back and put it all back together again. So in week 3, day 1, you're going through the case course, teaching frameworks on market study. Market study is one of our core frameworks, very often used. It's basically universally used at the MBA level. And as a tradition, it is used in one of the first round and one of the second round cases that you'll get at the undergrad level as well. So market study cases are super important. There are 3 different types that we walk you through. The first one is market share decline. The second one is revenue growth. And the third is market entry. And so we apply the same framework simply in slightly different ways to each one of those cases. In addition, we bring back some work on structure videos so that you're refreshing how you begin cases as you get the new cases and the case types introduced. In day 3, we're walking you through 4 structure video drills and a case coaching session. Then from day 4 and 5, you're going to move on to M&A. We're recommending that you do 1 M&A case on each different day. It's going to highlight the case course for each one. There's a little bit of a different approach, same structure, same framework, but different approach when you're dealing with a financial buyer, which is type number 1 on day 4, or a strategic buyer, which is type number 2 on day 5. And again, in our prep plan, we have that mapped exactly to a case that we think is a great learning experience for you to apply those exact learnings. And then on day 6 and day 7, on day 6, we have to complete a level 2 profitability case. Level 2, again, is ramping you up from what we consider to be level 1, which is everything up until this point was to prepare you for round 1. So here we are 9 days prior to when we're expecting you to interview, or 9 steps prior to when we're expecting you to interview. And only now are we actually pushing you to advanced cases. And I really want to drive that point home, that doing advanced cases early hinders your learning and your experience, even though it might make you feel smarter to attack them and might make you feel smart to get something right. In those cases, you are not going to be successful in the long run. It's going to make it a longer and slower process. So adding in here, exhibit drills, applied math, and the exhibit drills is also a really important part of this. And then the level 2 profitability, market study, and M&A cases. By the end of week 7, you have covered all of the core frameworks, levels 1 and level 2. So at this point, this is really where we move you into the remainder of the experiences that we're going to focus on. One of the things that I just want to say here is that at this point, you would basically want to actually need to know every single one of these formulas, which we include the links to do that. We have a course that walks you through all of these formulas, but I just thought this would be helpful for y'all to know today. If you don't know these formulas, you need to know all of them for case interviews. And by the end of week 3 is when we as a coach would be like, we're in trouble if we don't know these. So if you don't know them now and you need more leeway, like you're an artist or a teacher, or somebody who just hasn't had this business baseline, these are the things that are expected to know. Having a business degree is honestly sometimes counterproductive because you get really, really deep in the weeds on how things work. When I've asked MBAs how they define profitability, some of them honestly can't do it super easily. So I'm not saying that that's at all necessary. In addition, we would expect that you would understand, like the back of your hand, estimation, internal structures, which use the profitability framework, external structures, which use the market study framework, and then M&A. And these 10 case types, you will now have done at least one of each one of them at a baseline, and then one general level 2 case for each one of the frameworks as well. So you're, 10 market sizing questions deep. You're a total of 12 markets, regular kind of framework questions in. So you're at 22-ish cases before we say, awesome, now you can go rogue and move into everything else. Many people are done at this point. I just want to acknowledge that, especially if you have great case partners who give you actionable feedback, who are walking through the process. So what I'm about to show you in week 4 is an optional week. It's not necessary for everybody. But a lot of you will want the mental comfort, or will feel like you need to have a pivot in the way that you've been practicing cases to really tailor to a final structure. So I'm going to walk you through week 4. And then we're going to pop up a poll and we'll start to take some questions. And then I'll show you a few final kind of resources before we close. So for week 4 is really about firm specific prep and fit. And as you can tell, these are not overarching. This is like literally a day-by-day thing. And if you don't do day 1, then doing day 2 is a little silly. So day 1 here is the only place in our entire prep plan where you grab a cup of coffee and you watch the fit interview course. And then you work through a couple of your prep questions for fit interviews. Day 2 is a case coaching session where you're going to actually get somebody to review your first pass at your stories and help guide you on which stories you need to prep for the interview. Completing 2 level 2 firm specific mock cases and 2 firm specific mock cases in level 2 on days 2 and 3 will help really level up your skills. This is when you're like, look, I'm interviewing with McKinsey. I am only going to do this for McKinsey. And I would like to say that step 4 is and should be repeatable for every unique firm that you apply for, right? So it makes sense to do somewhere around 6 firm-specific cases for each individual firm that you're applying for. Some of you are going to have one shot at this. Like you'll only get Bain, or you'll only get Deloitte, or you'll only get OC&C, and you've got to make the most of it. But if you don't, you really want to tailor your approach as you move closer to those individual firms. Also, you'll see here in this entire week, I have not done one day of the fit interview. I have 6. total days where you're working on the fit interview. There's a reason for that. We have found that a lot of people under prepare for the fit interview portion of these interviews. And so as they walk into the interview, the interviewer asks them a question that they didn't prepare for. It shakes their confidence and ruins their case. So we really want you to be prepared. And we walk through in the fit interview course how to do walk me through your resume. We work through how to do the key consulting questions, how to build hero stories, how to handle personal and team-oriented questions, and finally, how to handle difficult questions like weaknesses and failures. On day 6, this is your second to last day before your interview, or your second to last step before your interview. We recommend that you do 1 mock case and 1 mock fit interview at a minimum. So this is your opportunity to basically do the dry run. At this point, you have not done a full interview. You may have done a case mock, but you haven't done a full interview. And it's the opportunity to get your final steps between now and when your interview happens. On day 7, we recommend that you don't do anything unless it is reviewing your notes from old cases, a case tracker that you worked through, a few of the cases that you've already done. Day 7 is really about building your mental preparedness for the case and not exhausting yourself.
Thank you for listening to this case prep plan episode. If you haven't yet gotten your very own copy of the plan, head to the link in the show notes to grab that. In addition, be sure to join us in Black Belt or Super Prep or another program. We'd love to help you put your best foot forward in consulting applications, interviews, and on the job. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week.